when we do this, we don't need anything else. We don't have the opportunity to do. We leave the whole thing to be sorted by itself. When more and more systems comes into operation, we don't see the use of the CO2. We don't see the use of cars. And slowly, the reduction in this will bring us other applications. And we see how we can extend this, how we can change and bring new kind of transportation. There's a lot of application to this, what we start next week. And there is a lot of beauty with what we start next week. For example, to transport cargo from one country to another gets totally different meaning. To ship people to different positions takes totally different meaning. Transporting people into Mars and other places takes totally different meaning. And in details, we go through it next teaching tomorrow, as we gave a lot of hits in different teachings. Try to bring it all together on Thursday morning. And you can literally go and book your place to come in and fly out of Linz, or get picked up and go through to Linz. And then the other, what we call free flight zone, will come with the other adjustments. And we are very much in line with what we're doing. We have huge amount of people who are registering and coming in. And this data for us is important. As we gather, we see how the things happen. Do you have any questions? It's so fantastic. I don't have to wait for it to be translated. It's good when you speak to the English KF.
Mr. Phillips has his hand up.
Mr.
Philip.
Roy is a friend of mine. Maybe he can introduce himself. We can allow to talk, and he can introduce himself, and then I can make the question.
Absolutely. I'm Mr. Rui Philipp. I'm German, Swiss, and my background is piloting and technology. I work mainly in communications when it comes to technology and privacy, and search engine and privacy related matters. My questions here relating to the topic is, and I'm just today, this is brand new to me, so I'm probably here in kindergarten knowledge if it comes to the understanding.
Oh, you join us, we're all in kindergarten.
Oh, fair enough. Yet though, my one question, I put it in the chat box, was how many travels have been completed, and what are the requirements to move forward? And then, as I've been hearing from what you've been saying, is that obviously the goal is to kind of replace other transportations, which we all know every other transportation is based on oil, which there is not just about the technology behind it, it's more about the lobby behind it that I probably
we don't care about the lobby because they can lobby as much as they like. We have, I mean, everybody here more or less knows here the new one, but principally we have discovered the way planetary system you fly, move, how cells in the body of the man moves. We don't need to burn. We create we have developed technology which we create magnetic fields, and like two magnets, we position them in respect to each other. But we have the control of the strength of the fields. So we position ourselves, magnetic gravitational positioning. Technology is well tested, internationally agreed by a lot of things, and it's been different aspects of the farming, agriculture, defense, and what do you call flight is well tested and delivered, and it's part of the, at the moment, we are on a independently flight testing for the foundation. We don't burn fuel anymore. Time of burning fuel is over. We don't carry fuel. We create fields, and we position ourselves in that respect. And with these fields, we've done a lot of work around the world and what we do and how the system works.
Thank you for answering. The only question that I just to re-evaluate is not the method of how your technology is working. It's more about the obviously the petrodollar that has been dictating for the last 100 years, and basically our society in every field, how this is going to be over, like, to put that in place, it'll take quite a big lobbying power.
We don't need lobbying. We don't fight. We just, first of all, Keshe Foundation, we teach freely. People develop. So we don't look for it. We have a very big opposition, of course, but on the other hand, lobbying is for the people who are trying to do. We deliver a totally new concept, new technology, and being well tested around the world. And for example, one of our biggest people in the background supporting us is American government for our system, because they've been damaged mainly military-wise by it. The technology is well tested in different aspects by the Chinese. And the Russians have tested it on the military bases, on the defense technology. And it's not if it's been going to be lobbied, as Obama said, it's the most, what do you call it, disruptive technology, but we need it. And we go through that path of work. The American government is one of, now, especially Biden, is one of the biggest supporters of the Keshe Foundation. They put the strength behind us to deliver these technologies. We, with a new technology, especially now, for example, in Europe, with what is happening with fuel, we have become, and we are working in the background as delivering a lot of things. Ukraine situation is one of the best situations for the Keshe Foundation in delivering technologies for replacing the fertilizers, in delivery in defense technology. Number of Keshe Foundation technologies in the past 2-3 weeks have been tested in the as a defense, not as a aggression. And we are watching it, how it develops in different aspects of the work. We don't look at the lobbying. Lobby is for, let them lobby. They lobbied us for nearly 20 years. I think they gave up.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other question?
Mr. Keshe, this is Jonathan.
Hi, Jonathan.
Hi. Is it possible to do one of the mobile flights if a person has a pacemaker?
Do you have a pacemaker?
No. This is for
So
a friend
why
of
are you
mine.
asking the question?
It's a friend of mine.
When you do the booking, it says pacemakers, artificial parts like hip and shoulder and that kind of thing. We prefer to touch if you have a what do you call it, valves. We advise you not to. If you have a plate on your spine, please do not come in. There's a disclaimer on it, but we prefer you. We have to find the dimensions and parameters of it by numbers, and we go in more details. In the long run, we have to find a solution for people with replacements. We can't leave them just because there is a way to do it, and I call it enveloping. We have tested it, it works, but it's a little bit more complicated than normal. In a way, we have to create a second package for the people with the lucky hips or whatever to be in that package, and then move that package without them getting involved with what do you call it, with the flight system. If you understand it that way.
Yeah.
Is enveloping with a plasma nanotechnology and delivering the envelope, and then in a way withdrawing the envelope at the point of delivery. If you, I don't know if any of you have seen some of the military videos which has been released from 2 years ago by the Russians from the satellites, when the American base or European base was attacked by the Iranians in Iraq, where Trump said they're going to make a decision, and after 2-3 days, with all his military officers behind us, we talked behind. He said we are not going to do anything because he couldn't really do anything, and we saw the damage that Saudi canceled the American Scud missiles defense because the policy was very simple, as we said. You can't protect the most advanced base you have in Iraq, it's gone flat. How do you want to protect us? And they moved in different direction. If you've seen the military videos, I know 1 or 2 leaked somewhere if they haven't withdrawn it. For the first time, you see black objects moving towards the American base. Russian satellites have well recorded it now. Military satellites we've seen, and it's recorded. What they asked me to explain by the Americans, what is happening? How could our system not to see the missiles coming in such a rapid way? And Russians delivered the video of the satellites, and the Americans were watching it. You see a black spot because the system carry what we call magna positioning, which means they absorb all the radar. And unless you are seeing a black object, radars don't see it. They don't even know how to defend it. And this kind of technology brings us that black packaging. We black envelope it, cannot be seen, cannot be shown, and we deliver what we need within the envelope. And we knew this one 2007, 2008, when one of our materials was taken into European Parliament. We were giving a lecture to the European parliamentary about what this new technology is going to do. And they took one of the things we took into one of these X-ray machines. As you know, you go in, you have to put your suitcase, whatever. They wasn't showing anything in a box. And they said, this is like Semtex. It's a natural product, and whatever they put in it, we can't see it. We can't even see the box, let alone what's in it. We saw it years ago. We saw it in practicality 2 years ago. We saw it practically about 2, 3, 4 weeks ago. And black package delivery for people with pieces in their body which can absorb fields. It's the only way we can deliver at the moment. You don't see anything, you just see a black shadow.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It'd be nice to see you, Jonathan, if you can fly with it.
I'd love to.
Welcome to Vienna.
Thank you. I'll be booking.
Pardon?
I will be booking.
No problem. It'd be nice to see you again. Any other question? So we have no questions.
There is Rui again. He would like to again make another question.
I put the question in the chat room, and just after what you've said, and especially relating this to the military, meaning that this potentially can also be used for military/international intelligence services if this were to be required on a governmental level.
It's already been done. It's already been done. And every military governments know about it. It's been used now, we know 4 times.
So at this case, so you're confirming that this will be used for military
As a defense, yes.
So this is next level of this is next level of international intelligence against each other, basically.
No, we share it with NASA. You will see NASA scientists in Linz very soon.
No,
they're coming to test.
The question is the purpose of usage. So if military has access to it, it can obviously will use it for their advantages.
They already have. It's international. You see, till last February, not this February, 10th of February last year, we announced that this technologies had been used by Iran.
Okay.
And 10th of February last year, Iran military officially released an announcement that this technology is in their possession.
Are you in contact with German governments? With higher superiors, German governments?
Your ex-chancellor is was fully aware of what we are doing.
I see. Merkel is aware of it.
Merkel, yes, she actually, in 2011, if I'm correct, around that time when General Motors went bankrupt, and I was offered a plant in Antwerp of General Motors. And Merkel backed us by 500 million. If we take over, German government is prepared to support it. German government is fully aware of our work. I met with the German officials in Frankfurt, in Munich, on a long discussion of takeover appointed by her.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Roy, do you want to ask the question you asked me in the chat?
No, that was just a pre-question to this question that I asked now. I needed to.
What we are looking at is a technology starting from Monday that we're not going to say what's better, what's not, what's been done. We are delivering a total new technology, new system never been seen, but in part has been tested. That allows us to break all the rules of what we accepted up to now, because when we look at it, we tested a lot of things. We don't need those things to be done. We don't need to go to airports to take off. We don't need to go and sit 18 hours, 20 hours flying one place to another. But this has a lot of economic, political, and military implications, national implications. People from Africa can land in Washington in less than a few seconds. Where are you going to find them? And the technology is so openly taught. We just need to tell people how to connect A to B. They know what A is, they know what B is, and done. We learned this very clearly after what we had with Obama's and Kerry in the past administration. What the American intelligence did with us in Washington presentation is now going to be repeated again. And you all know here exactly what they did in Washington with the presentation of the power unit in the organized by the White House. Any other question?
Good evening, Mr. Kesh. It's Dean here.
Steen?
Good evening, Mr. Kesh. Can I ask a question? So, according to the knowledge and following the teachings for quite some time now, isn't it sort of checkmate that these governments and organisations are taking up the technology? We know once you touch plasma, the condition is the field strength is gathered, and the magnetical and gravitational combine, and it creates a peaceful condition. And it may not seem it to begin with, but we know this has vast implications across the globe, the planets, and beyond. So it's checkmate, really, isn't it? To my understanding.
Oh, we don't play checkmate. It's just that now we have an opportunity. Just 1 second, please. Now we have an opportunity to introduce a new technology. And we should not look at it as a checkmate or we are better. We should look at it as a collaboration. How we can collaborate, to what extent this collaboration will go on. Can you give me 1 minute? I have to go out and come back in. I'm not in my usual position. I'm with other people. I'm just trying to relocate. I'll come back in 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. Kesh.
Fine. Thank you.
But maybe meanwhile we're waiting Mr. Cash to coming back. I just wanted to share what Mr. Cash said yesterday to the Italian group, and maybe we can ask him again to expand on this, because yesterday he talked about there are two machines, one for the physical, the transportation, and the other one for the plasma energy transportation. So he explained yesterday, with one, you will actually be able to go to different location and materialize physically to the destination and meet up wherever you want to meet, and bring stuff back. So, for example, if you're going to New York to meet your brother, you will be able to, and you're having a dinner and you have a bottle of wine, you will be able to bring the bottle of wine back. And then there is, if you go to the moon, you will be able to bring maybe the sand or the stone from the moon, and they will be able to test it to see if you really went in the moon. And then he talked about that you can travel also like we do in the dream, but you will be able to choose when and where. So you will be able to go to visit the people who are not, they passed away. So if you go loved ones, you can be able to go and travel, going to see them wherever they are. But you will not be able to bring stuff back because you're into plasma state. So I want to just say this. And then also said you can travel in groups. You can travel also with you and your dogs or any animal. So that was interesting. Yes, I just wanted to say this. I don't know if you heard this in other talks, but we can ask him to get deeper if you want. And then Rui asked me a very important question. When Mr. Cash come back, I will ask him about the safety of this technology, because obviously he is new of this knowledge. Sorry, maybe someone left the microphone open. So he was concerned about being able to be used in the wrong way. So maybe we can ask to Mr. Cash. I know that we know the answer, but for his new, he maybe can say because from my understanding, you can use only this technology with a goodwill, like cannot be used for bad purpose. But we can ask Mr. Cash.
Does anyone understand how you use the headphones? I know he said the location of the soul, but are you playing music or is it just quiet? I know he had talked about using music before and finding that.
No.
I
Yes,
am using the
back.
headphone for 7 years. I didn't quite.
No, the way it is, sorry to jump in. They let me know, I just was hearing. We use your mobile phone for a GPS location, if you call it that way. And through your mobile phone, we go through the process of reaching the soul, and what we call the energy center, what we call the soul, what we call the energy center of your body. And that will have the command with what you do in the instance of doing with the machine. We can do that directly through the headphones and do what we want to do. The new system in this doesn't have walls. It is not the enhancement unit you've seen. And the technology which we use now is not what you've seen anywhere with the Checkmate machine. It is a technology which is delivered past 2.5 years. And primarily we developed it to go into the enhancement units. But it went so far, so advanced, so rapidly developed that we see the frame of the enhancement unit a barrier for the field strength we have. In a way, it's got a filtering. So we decided to do without it and move without it. And that's why we are in this position. The system has never been seen. We try, nobody can touch the system, because if you touch it, you would defect the system. So it's not somebody going and touching, see what it is. You touch it, you pay 10 million for it. We tell people very straight away, move in, sit in the captain's seat, take a passenger seat, and that's all you do. This has cost us heavily, a lot of expenses to build and bring it in. And it's not a technology which is seen before. And some of you, which you were, if you were in American teaching on, like you, when John came in, nobody knew John has been a test pilot for the first phase and another phase. And he explained to you what he felt, or he explained part of it without reading much, what he went through when he went through the system. And you can imagine, we don't bring people just for one flight. We do extensive work. A number of knowledge seekers have been through this process. We bring them into NINS or other research centers which Checkmate Mission owns in the background somewhere without anybody knowing. And we develop this in combination. We do not use your headphone. When you adjust your headphone, which finds the center of energy point of your body, which is, you call it the soul, we call it the center of energy, it's like the sun. Then we have the capability to reduce the resistance, or what you call the field strength of what you have as a brain, to extend beyond. And then it takes, at the moment, with the present science and the physics, they've tried many times even to move an atom, and they're very proud they moved an atom. But if you're trying to move an object and matter state of strength, you have a lot of problems. When you want to move a magnet, you don't have that problem. And the energy center of the man is like a star, is a magnetic field. We move that, the body follows with it. And it works beautifully. So we are not using your headphone just as a headphone to play music. You, with the music, find out your position of your head, your energy, and you switch your music off. And then we take over. We deliver what we go in, dance through the system. It's time of carrying materials, bodies, and doing it. It's over. We cannot go to moon the way the monkey business Americans are doing it. We heard it many times. What happened when you go into the planet which is liquid? You change the monkey suit. But now we transfer the fields and you adjust according to the area and environment. We've seen it, as I said before, with the Chinese corona, what the change of the whole body because of the strength of the field. You're not using your headphones to play music. You play with the headphone, you find perfect match where it is, where you hear everything right in the center, and then you switch off your music and we come in and we do the rest for you. We are facilitated, we are not doing it to do new things. And many of it have done before, and we can see it. Many of it. Let's go through what is going to happen in Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and the whole of next week until end of July. And then we'll see how much more we learn, and then we open up at the same time or sometime the what we call mobile condition. Any other?
Mr. Kesh, it's Dean again here. May I ask a question? So, do you have to have an intention, a thought, to go somewhere or to
Yes.
manifest something? You cannot just go into the system and let the soul decide.
If your intention matches the intention of soul, it will be done. You can't tell us, oh, I just want to see what it is, and intention, oh, I want to bring some gold back with me. I'm just going to create some, oh, I'm going to go to the moon. You have to be straight with it. We are not captaining the thing. You go into the system, you do the decision, you make the decision for us.
So you have to use your matter state brain to make a decision. Is that what you're saying?
In so many ways, and you learn new states of other decisions that you didn't know you have. It's a beautiful time to come. I think you were there, or some of you were there when John said, and it's actually what it means. It's just falling in love, which means you give it unconditionally, and then you decide what I give is not for me. When you're in love, you give unconditionally is for what is needed to be done, what it needs, or my body needs to do, or whatever it needs from the soul of man. I watched John going through these systems. I stood in front of him because I have to understand what it does, what we see from outside. And I've done that with others when they go through it. How the physicality changes, how the emotion changes, how the body feature changes, and how they come afterwards. And they tell you things which sometimes are hair-raising. When we did the very first one, when one of our knowledge seekers could clearly tell what he did, or what was said with his mother and father in the room. Clearly he is not somebody dreaming, he was physically where and where he was sitting and how he did it. And both parents passed away. He couldn't sort it out when they were alive, but he sat and sorted it out and he found answers to it. And when he describes what the father was sitting and what the mother was doing and everything else, it's not imagination, it's what you do in your dreams, but now you have a control over it. We have a wonderful time. We're going to learn a lot.
Mr. Kesh, I know John sounds different. I've listened to the teachings, and as we all have, with John speaking many times, and he sounds more. He just sounds different. He sounds more content and peaceful and balanced.
Since he's been through the system, you mean?
Yeah, I can sense that he just seems.
Can I be a bit out of position? You met him when he came to Linz.
Yeah.
Correct?
Of course, yes, Mr. Kesh.
And nobody knew he was there except you. And you saw the change in him while he was there, maybe. He changed.
Yeah. Yeah.
He changed. He had to face his life because he cannot escape it. And we've seen people coming. We don't do things, but certain things we had to do the test in a condition because we planned to do the test in Linz months ago. So we had to test the system in the environment, which is going to be fully tested. And not one system was used for testing. We used combination of systems.
It's good to see John looking and sounding so physically. I don't know what the word is. Can't think of the right word. Content. Yeah. Wonderful word, Mr. Kesh. Yeah, content. He just seems very happy and contented, and it's wonderful to hear that in his whole persona, his whole being. It's wonderful to sense that as a soul. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. I mean, because Dean was with the Kesh Foundation at that time when John came. We have people coming and going, but we don't disclose why and how. And unless they want to meet the people who come, they decide. And we've done a lot of tests. This machine is not just made because we've done a lot of tests, and now it's an operation of many tests. We've done a lot of tests with Chinese military. I've done massive amount of tests with Chinese military. As I said in the other teaching, we shipped 4 years ago 6 of these units in different shape or forms for Chinese military to China. Manufactured in Austria. We did transmutation of fields and energy with the Chinese, with their space flight system, which you all have seen many times. The space flight system with the Chinese is a massive, it's a mammoth top work. We spend every screw rebuilt, redone, and then adjusted where we wanted to range, where we wanted to collect material, where we wanted to transfer energy, where we wanted to transfer fields, till we had the incident of blowing up the city main power supply. And even the Chinese allowed us to go further. They said this, we take full damages, hundreds of millions of dollars of damage was done. And the Chinese government accepted full responsibility for damages. And we know the capability of it. We know the potential of what this technology can deliver. And this is the product of years and years of work. And I'm sure you've seen this, we showed many times with the power supply, the flight system, Chinese flight system in South China Sea, the most secure island where the biggest naval base is, and allowing Kesh Foundation to freely test its impossibilities to the West. And we've done a lot of work with the military. And we keep to that track. We stay loyal to the Chinese government because they trusted us. You've seen this systems clearly. You remember this. This is the first combination flight system in China. It delivers what it says. It creates energy of 5 megawatts. The estimate has been delivered to the central power station to be able to blow it up. When this machine runs, you hear the units talking to each other. It's like two humans chatting. It's not a noise, it's a communication. And it's all recorded. And it's all paid by Chinese military. It's not just we build the system has been tested in every aspect of functioning and how it's going to be.
Mr. Kesh, Steve again, sorry, can I ask another, so in the, when people go into the unit,
Yeah.
can they, from Monday,
yeah,
okay, from Monday, can they connect and change, so can they elevate the soul of the planet?
it's not so easy.
Hmm.
It's not going to be so that easy.
Some people are going to go in with intention to help, as you said, somebody else or a community or a nation, maybe.
We ask, there's a questionnaire. What was what you wished? And when they come out, what they got from what they wish. By the way, you get 2 opportunities twice. What is the first desire and what is the second desire? It's a very straightforward work.
I think you mentioned it in your earlier. I was listening to one of the.
Normally, sorry, Dean. Normally, you have 3 wishes, like Aladdin.
Sorry, we only have 2 systems. Actually, the 2 systems at the moment becomes 4 within the next 4 weeks and becomes 6 and 8. Every month we try to add 2 to 4 units. You got to realize we've seen from the before operations and other things we've done before. Once we go live and we see people who go through the system and come out, and some of them will say nothing happened, we expect this. About 40% will say they felt nothing. But later on, they come access. Do you know when I left, something like this happened to me accidentally? There's no accident. You set something up, which carries on. And then we go live. We place what we call, we put them in a position that you can ask them questions as knowledge seekers. And we announced tomorrow, and we said, but in international, we announced tomorrow, but in some of the teaching languages already announced, that the sessions are going to be like what we did 129 Tesla, continuous live. And every day we broadcast live on people go through. And we sometimes watch them going through. And we listen to them when they come out, what they've seen, what it is, because it's not anymore dream, because we set these things for the reality of the situation to happen. And we see what they've been. Did they go to the moon? If the wish was to go to the moon, did they go to Mars? Did they go to see Uncle in New York? They wanted to go to New York, but they ended up in Tokyo with another cousin. Why? Where was the problem that you end up in the wrong place? because the soul actually wanted to go, but my wish was to go somewhere else.
Isn't that going to cause some problems, Mr. Kesh?
For who?
For well, let's take it back a little bit more basic. So somebody's going to New York to see or to have a business meeting, and they end up in Hong Kong. Isn't this going to be slightly?
It's their soul. They wanted to be in Hong Kong.
Okay.
We don't know. We don't control it. They control it. You know the story of what happened to the guy from Dubai years and years ago. Go and you can find in the newsreels if you can't in the Middle East. It was very big news in Dubai some years ago. One of the last hijackings, you remember it was fashionable to hijack planes. They hijacked the plane and they actually landed in wherever they landed, and they agreed to let the elderly to go. They didn't want to keep the elderly and young on the plane if they're going to blow it up. And one of the first elderly one of the first people came out was an 80-year-old man. This flight actually came from Bangkok. It was hijacked somewhere from Bangkok. It went through Thailand or Philippines. I think it was Thailand, if I'm correct. And the whole cameras are in the first, hostages are going to be released. This 80-year-old man, he told his family he's going to Mecca for pilgrimage. But he actually went to Bangkok for fun. He ended up in the wrong hijacking. And it was a big case it was a big joke for a long time in the Middle East about a man who said he's going for pilgrimage, but he ended up in Bangkok. So you can't make a mistake. We hope you don't make a mistake and end up in the wrong place at the wrong time.
So that's real soul interaction then, Mr. Kesh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
We'll see it because I watched people going through the systems. We watched very strong Chinese military officers, how they broke down in these systems. Very powerful stature-wise. They literally become children.
Mr. Kesh, regarding on this, I was chatting with Rui, and he gave me the permission to say he was a little bit concerned because he said when we know how the government been in the past, and he really concerned about the ethical behavior, of the government. And they think it could be dangerous, can be dangerous. But I'll try to explain to him that the plasma, this technology work only.
Let me explain. I tried to explain to him. He's there, he can listen. We have worked with governments in the development of technology very openly for the past 20 years. It's not something hidden. Our phones are listened to. We have agents from CIA working very close at the high level with us. We have KGB officers working in the Kashmir Nation high level that are aware of it. We have from Iran intelligence working with us. We have the Chinese right sitting on top of top managements in China. They all know what is developed and how it's developed. We are not suddenly bringing something out of the hat. And when we do something in a very high level, prior to our disclosures, we inform appropriate government officials that what is happening. NASA has fully informed the past 72 hours. The head of the NASA mission to Mars is a very close friend of associates of the Fish Foundation, works very close, and follows our work very close. And the NASA mission has been invited to join in its Chinese military, which actually has made a replication of the old system, have been invited to join us in it. We don't do something. These things doesn't exist in our research because everybody knows. If you were with the what we call the teaching of today, which was organized by the Iranian Keshe Foundation, there were a large number of people on. The representative office of Ayatollah Khamenei of Iran was online. Representative Iran President Office, Chief of Iran Commander Forces were online. The head of Sepah's military division were online. We addressed the office of Ayatollah Khamenei very, very strongly. We don't agree with what you've done or what you do in certain ways. We don't have a fear of what they might do with it. They're all trying to do something with it, but it's being open for us has been a key factor in how we have released the technology up to now. We are not afraid of these things because we share it openly.
Because he said even when they make the nuclear bomb was not for that purpose originally. So he said things can be used in the wrong way. But try to explain that the plasma technology
doesn't work. Will not harm anyone. It cannot be done. They tried it. They tried in a few different ways to do it. But in general, we can't be afraid of what they might do for the others not to see the benefit of it. In 2004, I was offered billions by Lockheed Martin in Oxford in London to get paid and share it. And I said no. They brought 13 telephone line connections in all the head offices of Lockheed Martin to decide. All teams of them were sitting on 13 lines. And it wasn't just one scientist to decide if this technology can be, or is possible. And the decision was unanimous. It's a breakthrough. We need to do it. And they offered billions for it to be shared. I said, no, I just walked out. And it's all recorded. All the communication with Lockheed Martin and the development with the American government is all recorded in black and white. The technology is open for everybody to use, and it has to stay that way. And we don't work by fear. If you are by fear, you don't do it. We work by, we know it's correct, and somebody might abuse it, but in general, 99% we're good.
I was trying to explain to him also what you said yesterday, that you can go into visit when yesterday you explained there was 2 machines, and in one you can physically materialize a destination, and you're going to see your brother, for example, from here to New York, and have a dinner and bring
a bottle of wine back.
Yeah, but he said, what about the? But he said, what about for the immigration? We'll have a problem with maybe kidnapping or immigration.
No, we are working. This is why the mobile system, because we have already declared opposition to the Austrian government. Austrian government has given us a permission to build a space manufacturing development of the new plasma. We worked for months to get this permission. We're not just doing it because we have a center. We closely work with the Austrian Space Organization, governmental offices. We spend hours with them. And they say, it's here, we have to understand what is going on. It doesn't mean we can't block it. We can't stop it, but we work very openly with it. And if you are here on the chat on Saturday, we had directly announced President Xi of China and the office of the CPC officers were online. We really leadership was online. The White House people were online when we announced this. And it's a step technology. Everybody wants to see where it comes and how it comes back.
Yes, I was. Yes, from my understanding, it cannot work if used in the wrong way. This is what I understood.
You will not be, I mean, to put it this way, when, as I said before, last Thursday, when I signed the agreement with the Iranian government, it went to the parliament of Iran to be ratified, not to be used in aggression, but it's allowed to be used for the defense of Iranian territory. And up to now, the 4 times has been used is for defense of their territory. Once by the Russians and 3 times by Iranians.
Mr. Cash, would you like to expand on what you said yesterday about the 2 machines where you can one move is, you know,
You're gonna, I don't need to explain. Come in and go in it and tell us if you do it.
but from my understanding, as you're going in, you will gain knowledge and then you share knowledge with others, and
You have to. That's what we want to do. It's very interesting. There's a lot of things which we've done. One of the top Keshe Foundation knowledge seekers, one of the people right on the top level with us, going through this process, this speaks universal language, which to you is a lot of gibberish. But we have another person who is connected with the other side, and while this one is going gibberish, the other one translates, and she confirms this is what I'm trying to tell you. And we actually write it down. It's very strange. The first time I saw it happening, I thought this is a game, but we set the conditions for it, and it's amazing how they learn languages out of nowhere. And they write it in a very peculiar shapes and things. And it follows the same pattern. Every word again repeats the same position, the same characters. And if you remember a few months ago in some of the teachings, I said, we need support from the Universal Council community for one of our top people who's been they tried to assassinate. Was during one of these processes. We had 2 weeks to wait to see if the bunny goes through reverse by national securities in a locked, what we call it, intensive care.
so Mr. Cash, that means we, as more people going in, more people gain knowledge, and we share more knowledge, so we'll be able to progress very fast.
That's the hope. Nobody would do such a test and go public the way we are going. Tests like this are done in a hidden back doors, locked up, securities on the top. With Keshe Foundation has done everything the opposite way anyway, so it's not the first time. In a very short time, now that the Corona situation is more open, we will call for the world leadership, world ambassadors meeting in Vienna. This will be very much like the ambassador meetings we had in Belgium with the world ambassadors, or some of you were in Vienna, in Rome, with another world ambassador meeting. And this time, very soon, we call again for world ambassador meeting. As the American president comes to this next ambassador meeting, the United States will be present, respected and reviewing purposes. Once we go through this first trials, we call very soon for, again, meeting of the world ambassadors and show them what it is and then it's changed. That's what we will follow with next. We had a meeting with diplomats, and other people on a frequent basis. We meet with them on a frequent basis because they have to know what's happening. I'm the only Iranian nuclear physicist which is allowed in the American embassy, which blows the head of the Iranian securities and government.
For example, in the Italian group, we already start to make, decided to come like a bus, like all the Italians. But in reality, whoever managed to experiment or do testing with this machine, from my understanding, whoever who goes in and will learn something from it, will share with others. So we all gonna progress very fast.
This is what the Germans are doing. Germans are coming here. You're just gathering your bus. Germans have already blocked days and days, one after another, now coming in 10s and 15s of them, keep on telling them, this is the limit what we can handle. Germans have literally, I've seen them, they're literally coming in and forget about bus loads. I think we have the same from other countries. Any other question?
I was even thinking to camp there.
They won't let you in, you're too good.
Mr. Cash, John, yeah? I think you, very well, thanks. How are you? I imagine you're fine. Asthmatized. I think you mentioned we could get in contact with deceased souls. Have you said this? These people?
Somebody has tried it and it works. That's all I can tell you.
Fine.
Actually, 2 people have tried it. Very successful. I don't know, other people will be successful, but the 2 people who have tried it, they had to do it because there was something which was a big problem for them all their life, and it had to be solved.
That could be a very interesting experience, not because of problems, but
Yeah, but it's not the
your-
experience. Let me stop you there because you got to be logical with it. How come you dream about them without you having any control over it? And now you go through the same process, you have a control over it. How many times since your mother has died, you have ever dreamt about her?
I really don't remember. That's the reason why I'm asking, because my father died 53 years ago. My mother 63 years ago.
So what have you ever seen them in the past 50, 60 years?
In my dreams, I really can't remember. I must have.
Have you had a dream of anybody who has passed away with you?
I haven't remembered my dreams for ages, really.
Yeah, but have you ever had that? Many of us have. We see their father was died or the mother was dead. You don't have a control.
Yeah, I know. I imagine so. I've also got a son that died 33 years ago also.
Have you ever had a dream about him?
One is normally so busy sort of working for the family, one doesn't really is conscious of what one has remembered in his dreams. But that would be a very interesting experience, I think.
Yeah. So if you can dream, that you can connect with it, you can now choose the dream. This is what we want to mainly find out about. A lot of people go through this process.
Yeah, I remember when we talked about, you said if you got the cranium of a person, you can rebuild that person.
We have the knowledge, we can be there. Don't put it, you know, when he came from Argentina to Brazil 2 years ago, when we met there, how long were you on the bus? 2 days, day and a half?
Yes, 2 days.
Yeah. Now, if you can do that trip for a few seconds, would you do it?
Yes, sure. I would love to do many a thing, but
now you have the chance to do it.
yeah, well, the economy is pretty impossible right now, but we'll get around that sometime.
The fact is that the whole thing needs to be assessed by a lot of other ways of us, and then we can find a way around to do it. We're going through this first phase and see what comes up afterwards.
Yes, that's what I was figuring out, that this would happen in the future, and everything has to be ironed out, not only in this country, in the whole world, I think. So that's our job, I think. We've asked to be here to intervene in this.
We are here to deliver the technology. How it's developed further on is by the man himself, and the needs and the joys and power play which man likes to feel to play. We can't stop delivering technologies like this out of fear of what they might do wrong with it. We deliver is more powerful, that they're too busy to get busy with other things.
Yeah, you can imagine it's all done with a good intention.
Oh, yeah, but this time is with the soul of intention, which is
exactly.
Which is we have different.
We cannot catch up with them, Mr. Kerr.
They cannot catch up with us. It's a different
point of view. Yeah,
it's a different point of view. I mean, if you were there on when we had Wang Lin on, the Chinese experience was one of the most amazing experiences in my life. As you know, I have access to all the Chinese military on request and the whole defense technology of China. And they tried to entice us. It was very strange the way the Chinese handled the situation. As I have access to Chinese military and Chinese space university in teaching and working with them, they went to the point of, Wang Lin explained or confirmed it last time, taking us to the position to meet the Chinese spacecraft, which is built on the basis of Keshe Foundation technology. And the last minute, somebody, because where we were placed was very, very close to the residence of President Xi. So we were sure he has a say in it. He had to have a say in this meeting with the Chinese space scientists in the military side, very high level. And something triggered something. We don't know what it is. I don't want to even think about it. And then they decided national securities meet with the space people, and something changed their mind last minute. Says we go and we come back. They went after 2 or 3 hours. We're sitting in the hotel. They said they built, everything is ready. They just want a fuel combination. I said, what I haven't seen they made, how can I give them fuel combination? That's all Chinese space people want. I said, I teach at the space university to the scientists at the highest level. and in a very specific way. What's the problem now? It is too dangerous, they say, for you to see what has been achieved. But they still haven't achieved much because after 3 years are left, they still haven't shown much. We know Chinese military at the highest level is busy with cache management technology. And we're not the ones that are busy with many technology, but with our technology, they're very busy. And they try to keep the cache management on the right side of the government in a way that we don't do something wrong, but they still have access to knowledge. Many of the knowledge seekers, very good knowledge seekers of the cache management now are employed by the Chinese military. They work just for the military. They just poached one of our top scientists 2 months ago. But they did not get what they want from it. They came back and said, okay, we didn't get what we wanted. He works now for them full time. You all know him. He's still in cache management. We don't disclose because he's still part of us. The knowledge is not about uniform UI. And we've seen, as we announced, Chinese government has asked us to build institute in this place for them. They're not giving us the pleasure of building an institute. They want to know what they can learn from us, that as usual they can steal. I just shown these pictures before to you, and you have to understand being allowed as a foreigner to come so close with the highest ranking officers in the space and military of China in the space center is unheard of, if you understand Chinese structure. I'm one of the only foreigners, more or less, who has a freedom across Chinese military to work with and develop. And these people you see that are mainly high ranking the space military defense of China, and this is the space city of China, where they do all the military developments for the space.
You look a giant.
Yeah, it looks good. When you see the way they march, exactly military way, distance, the spacing. And then you know how much we've done that. The technology we deliver next Monday is being well tested in China. And that's China's space university. And I'm the only foreigner amongst them. Any other question?
Good afternoon, Mr. Kesh. This is Alexander from Canada.
Hi, Alex. How are you?
Terrific. Thank you. The question that you brought up the other day was with respect to the universal community. And if someone were to go in this flight system, you mentioned that they would have possibility not only of communicating with someone from the universal community, but the door was open for the possibility for them actually coming back with you. Did I understand that correctly?
Yes, there's a possibility. We have to have very open mind in what happens, because we've seen this in tests in China.
So the thought crossed my mind was that if a member from the Universal Council were to be contacted, because you also mentioned that in the Universal Council meetings that the Earthbound Universal Council members need to establish communication with the...
It will be done. We are not talking fairy tales. There's a lot of things which we don't disclose, but it's part of the system. You cannot escape it. Doesn't matter what face you put to it. If you are going to space and you think you're the only creatures of the universe, go back to sleep dreaming. We see the UFOs, we see the development of technologies, and life is not exclusive of this planet. And we're not the cleverest of all. So we will come, they are amongst us, and we have to accept how to deal with this situation and how we create a condition of coexistence. Life is not exclusive on this planet if you've seen how it's created.
Are you expecting the possibility of these members of the Universal Council to actually manifest themselves in the physicality alongside the Universal Council, our Universal Council?
We are expecting, because we have seen other things which we don't close, we're just going to see how it turned out. We expect, in line of communication, creating conditions that will lead to observation or structure observation of life across the universe. We're not talking about dimensions, because if you understand the work of the universe, you understand it's not exclusivity. And we have prepared systems for this inlet. We have foreseen this. We're creating a condition of light. We're creating a new condition of atmospheric condition, which is not the Earth atmospheric condition, but accommodates this atmospheric condition. And in these conditions, you can possibility of interaction. I always say in the teachings, you all know, it's like you're in the room till outside suddenly doesn't get cold. You don't see the moisture, which is not visible to you on the window. If you heat up the inside, you see the moisture because the outside is cold on the window. Now we are creating field condition. We don't know what's in this atmosphere. What lifestyle is it? They could even be from this planet. We've seen the recordings of NASA on the upper levels. We see life. NASA has fully documented this. We see jelly type life, which they move, they have they do follow certain pattern of movement, and it's all recorded by NASA. So even life above us exists. Would we create a condition in the systems that life manifests itself in the system? Surely. And if we do, we have to accept it and see what we do with it. It's very much like you go to the airport and you don't know what comes of that jumbo jet. English, American, black, white, whatever. You created at the airport to see what comes out of that plane. Now we are doing that.
So the question is, if we go to the departure lounge, we have a target in mind. And so what I was wondering is if it's possible to actually select the possibility to meet someone from the Universal Council.
Yes, possible. Highly possible. Extremely possible. I put a bet of 50-50.
Different topic, please. I'm trying to understand. I can understand the soul travel, but I don't understand the cargo travel.
Cargo travel, we go back to the envelope business. or going back understanding central energy because the soul of a structure. How would we cargo cats and dogs?
Well, those are living entities.
Everything is living. Just because it doesn't move to you doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It doesn't have life. The atoms in it are still moving. Electrons are in motion.
Would there not be a lot of confusion, let's say, with a mixed cargo?
Why? Listen, you're gonna be there and you're gonna experience it. A lot of people gonna go through it next 2 or 3 weeks. And we see if it is how it happens and what we need to adjust.
Absolutely.
Knowing the human character, I promise you some people will try to cheat and see what they can take with them.
Well, that's what I was also wondering. Like, I was wondering if I could smuggle a cherry cheesecake.
Oh, or maybe a cherry, you never know. We are waiting. We're waiting. We know human character. So we are waiting. You got to understand, without some of you knowing, some of the people you will see going into the system are workers of the cash management. These scientists work in the background for the foundation. They go through it as nobody knows. We are bringing in people from our research centers to go through because we want to know ourselves. They built part of these systems. You've never seen them. Nobody ever seen them. And they want to know what they built, how it works, but there can be efficiency on it. The men and women like the Keshe Foundation, since what we had attacks on us, we became very clever. We hid our researchers. Nobody knows that. It could be somebody you speak to every day, but you don't know what they do.
Yes, yes. And another question, please. Several months ago, you brought up the prospect of these spheres that would be distributed in case of emergency. Is that still on the table?
Yes, we don't see an emergency. We're going to be short of gas shortly in Austria, but the look of it, we give about 80% of the gas of Austria comes from Russia. We want to see where we're going to get cut off and what we're going to ration. And are we going back to using plasma technology for it? We are ready for it. I have made sure we can be equipped with it.
One last question, if I may, please. This picture that you're showing on the screen, all of these flags have fringes. Is that significant? There's a fringe around the flags.
Fringes. These are the way official flags are made. The one on the right belongs to Iranian Republic of Islamic Republic, which is where the technology came from. The middle one, as you see, is the flag of the KFSSI, and the left one is the flag of Austrian nation. When you come into the center, these are right in front of you. We done the same thing in Arizona, the same thing in China. Technology belongs to Iran. It's Iranian based, but belongs to all of us as part of the Keshe Foundation.
So the question I'm asking is that there's a significant difference between a flag without a fringe and a flag with a fringe.
You explain to us.
Well, the flags with the fringe follow man-made admiralty law, and flags without a fringe represent the people.
To us, it's a beautiful thing to have the fringes on it.
Well, yes, it is. I just was wondering if there's any.
No significance. one on the right comes directly from the Iranian government. It was done in Iran. The one in the middle is made in Austria. The one on the left is made in Austria too. And it's all these to be made by the same company.
It's all right with me. I have faith in the universal law, and I feel that supersedes man-made law any day of the week.
Maybe the weekends will be different.
Thank you so much for answering my questions.
Thank you very much. No, it's beautiful. This is very, very hard to swallow for officials who come to the center. Sometimes I come without anybody knowing, with different nationality diplomats, which are not on a weekend or whatever. I never go in very seldom during the day, because nowadays every day, except I think Thursdays, there's always groups of people who come for the tour. And one of the first things they look at the left plate or the right, that why is an Iranian flag doing it in Austria? And when I explained to them, it's a hard thing to swallow, especially it was very hard for the Americans to swallow that the Iranian flag flies in Vienna this way. And they said, okay, we go to the next system. We can't do anything with it. Anything else? Any other question?
Just like to read from the chat from Raquel. Finally, someone had come and tell us that we are free. It has taken a lot of suffering and work to make us understand what to be free is possible. Although it may seem impossible. Thank you, Mr. Kesh.
It's something, we're not fighting an ideology, we're sharing a technology. And many of you have tested it. And being there for such a long time, we asked again very recently, we want to know how deep the people come across the Keshe Foundation is. Numbers, I wanted to know figures. We have something like 400 million plus now. Passing around about 450, 500 million people around the world are visitors in different languages or whatever, or come in touch with the foundation or regularly are there. This is a huge population of it. And some of them just come and have a look and go, and some of them come and sit, and some of them carry on doing. And we don't know them. But if we share the knowledge that it helped them somewhere, that's all the purpose of the foundation. That's all. We don't ask for anything. We don't go and do things with it. I was in the Iranian chat today, and a lady came in and says, I came across your technology, and my husband's life is all to your technology, because we can't listen to the Farsi channel with the Iranians today. And she said, I saved his life with your technology. When he had corona and he was in a critical condition. We never went out to find him. For the need they have, they found the technology, and because they've seen what it does, they teach it and they work around it. Millions of people are able to use the technology. According to the Chinese government, nearly now 10% of the Chinese are fully around and do something with Keshe Foundation technology. That's over 140 million. Don't forget, we didn't do the most of the job. They put us on top of the Tencent.com when the corona came with a couple of life. We didn't put ourselves there. No one can go on top of the Tencent.com. Doesn't matter who you are, unless the Chinese government decides. And when we released the cup of life, President Xi instructed immediately that this goes on the top, and it stayed there for about 3-4 weeks. Millions of Chinese were encouraged. Still today, in some factories in China, you have to drink one cup to water before you start work. Otherwise, they don't let you start. Today, after 2 years. Any other question? It's nearly 11 o'clock. I started at 4 o'clock this afternoon. You might hear some of what you heard today in the teaching tomorrow about what we shared in pieces with different groups. And tomorrow we're trying to put it all together and what we call international relations foundation.
Hello, Mr. Cash. It's Claudia from Brazil.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
I'd like to know how you are feeling that the peace is so near for you after thousands of years trying. I'd like to know your feeling.
It feels good because we see a conclusion, but this is the beginning of a new cycle. This is not an end. This is the beginning of another new mayhem in knowledge and technology. We've seen what happened when we discovered electricity and then we started computers in a very little way. And now how many people are busy with it and how it's expanding. And even the system we built, which is start next week testing, is just a scratch. People get, oh, look what they did in first day. It's like the first computer. You've seen the first calculator, just plus, minus, and division computer. The first computer ever built to do a simple plus and minus and whatever. It's the size of a building. It's a 2-story block building. It's just north of what it's called Owens Park in Manchester, part of the Manchester University. Just to do a simple ABC. And the machine we have built is that 2-story block doing a simple ABC. You can imagine what will be added to it. And it's good to see if the next step with it will come a lot of new comfort conditions and what I call keeping them busy. If you get a chance, if people could go to Manchester, go and see this first calculator computer. And we are in that, I think we are not even with that one. It's the one they started minus or plus before they put them together to do a small system. It's the beginning of a new cycle of knowledge. Nothing else is, it's not a magic. It's just that how we will develop it. To what extent we develop it. The Keshe Foundation Research Center is now developing most amazing technologies. Anyway, shall we call it a day?
Thank you, Mr. Cash.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you
for today.
See you tomorrow morning in the teachings.
See you tomorrow morning. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.